What's going on, guys? Welcome to Brews and Board Games. My name's Andrew, and today it is in time for another review. We are diving into the world of Euthia in Euthia Torment of Resurrection. This is by Dia Games. This is a 1 to 4 player fantasy world adventure game where you're basically going to be going around this world, exploring new locations, battling monsters, getting more coins, upgrading your character, getting more skills, acquiring all these cool items, and trying to complete the objective. The object of the game is, it varies by scenario to scenario, but most of the time it's whoever has the most points at the end of the game wins. I do have 2 playthroughs of this up on my channel. I did Fail Invocation and then Defending the Settlements. Both very cool. I did solo modes for both of those. So if you are interested in watching some playthroughs, I do encourage you to watch those videos. I will put links in the description below. Now for this review, I am going to be focusing on the solo aspect of this game. I have not played this multiplayer. And I'm also not going to go into a full rules explanation. But essentially what's happening is you're going to pick a scenario. You're going to have your character starting on a certain tile. And you are going to move this character around this board, uncovering new tiles. And you are going to have a set of tokens, 3 to be exact, and each of these tokens can be used in 2 different ways. The first way at the top you can see is the movement value. So you can spend any one of these tokens for the value listed at the top, moving that amount of spaces. Or alternatively, you could use it for the bottom portion of the token. The first one here we have is mine. So if you're at a location where you could mine, you would spend this token to perform that action. The next token will allow you to purchase items from shops, and then the last token will allow you to engage in combat. Now, as you're going around this world of Euthia uncovering new tiles, you are going to be presented with new locations that you can interact with. Some of these locations are going to be places where you can purchase things, monsters that you can battle, treasure spots that you'll get for free, mining locations where you can mine those spots and gain rare minerals. You're going to have some portals that allow you to warp to different locations and things of that nature. Elementals that will affect some of your rolls in combat, or just might affect your health while you're moving around those elementals. And there's going to be other locations that you can find out more along the way. But as you're going around this world and you are interacting with these locations, you are defeating the monsters or you are mining those certain locations, you're going to put your tokens on those spots to let you know that you have completed that action in that space and you cannot interact with that space again. Now also, as I mentioned, throughout the game, you're going to be acquiring gold by performing different actions, whether that's completing quests, defeating monsters, selling items, and you are going to use this money to essentially buy new items, upgrading your character. Also unlocking certain spots on your hero board in order to equip certain things to your hero. Now, depending on the scenario that you choose, you're going to play the game over a certain amount of rounds. Some of the scenarios vary in the objectives. Some scenarios basically just say, hey, you try to beat your high score. The game can also be played in a number of ways, whether that's cooperative, competitive with other people, or solo like we are talking about now. And that's essentially the game, quick and easy. If you guys are curious more about the rules and how the game plays, I do encourage you to check out the videos like I mentioned earlier, where I do dive more in depth into the rules, so you maybe can get a feel of how the game plays a little bit more. But with that being said, let's get into some things that I like. Alright, so first up, let's talk the open world and exploration. I really like that in this game. I usually tend to like these types of games, but just going to the edge of the map and uncovering a new tile, seeing what it is, and maybe it's a spot that you needed, right? Maybe you already have a quest spot out there and it's somebody looking for some rare minerals and you just got a mining space. Hey, I'm going to try to take advantage, try to find that, or maybe it's a portal that's going to allow you to warp back to the church so you can heal. I just really like exploring in general, and this game has it, obviously. The board is going to get pretty big, so there's a lot of spaces that you're going to uncover, a lot of this world that you're going to build. Also, the world itself, even though it is small on the table, at least with these hexes, the world itself feels big. It's just one of those weird things that inside of that, you kind of get this feeling that it is a larger world. Also, in addition, just open world stuff in general, I just love the ability to kind of go wherever you want to. You might have a certain section on the board where it's going to have, you know, maybe some level 2 monsters that you're going to want to take advantage of, but you're not ready yet. So you want to go to these other locations, maybe fight some level 1s, maybe get some shops and buy new items and stuff like that, and then go back to that location to fight off some of those level 2s. I just love that, you know, that aspect of it, you know, of just going to this location. Okay, we need to go over to here, right? There's some other tiles and locations up this way that, you know, are going to be a little bit easier for us to complete. So I really like open world stuff, and again, this just has it. It feels good to just go around the board exploring new locations. Next up, let's talk combat. I do like the combat system in this game. I'm just going to go over a general overview of how it works. Again, if you want to know more, check out the playthrough. I have a lot of battles in those playthroughs, so check it out if you want to know, you know, a little bit deeper dive into how it works. But there is a lot of combat in this game, and I do like it, like I said. On the board, there's going to be locations where you can actually battle monsters. And on those locations, it's going to tell you the level of monster, the kind of rewards that you can get. And basically, you're just going to enter in that location and spend your combat token. Now, once you enter combat, you're just going to draw a card, and it's going to have some stats on there, you know, the health value. The die roll for the enemy, it's going to determine how much damage it's going to do based on that die result. And the difference between the solo variant and the multiplayer is that in the solo version, you're going to also have this deck of cards. Now, you're going to flip this over, and it's actually going to tell you the rolled value for the enemy. Also, it's going to determine what kind of tokens the enemy is going to use. And these tokens are going to bump up the rolls for the enemy, as well as trigger some of these powerful cards. Now, throughout the game, the enemy is going to be acquiring these silver cards as well as these gold cards. And as these build up over time, the gold is a little bit more brutal. As these build up over time, and if the enemy uses a token that says to use one of these cards are just going to aid the enemy's attack, maybe bumping up the roll a little bit so it might do more damage, or maybe doing some sort of effect like healing throughout. And then they're just going to deal that much damage to you. Now, when it's your turn, you're going to have a weapon. You're going to be able to choose, you know, if you have multiple weapons, choose your weapon, and you are actually going to roll your dice. You're going to roll, see the value, and then your weapon is going to tell you whatever roll you get, it's going to determine how much damage you're going to do back to that enemy. So it's just going to go back and forth. You're going to be able to play effects that maybe bump up your roll, reduce the enemy's roll, and things of that nature. But what I really like about it is I kind of feel like every battle is a little unique. You know, depending on what cards that they draw, as well as what elementals that you are around. The wind elementals are cool because they are going to basically say, if we roll a 4 and a 3, your highest die that you roll, it is going to flip, you're supposed to flip that to the other side. So now instead of 7, we now have 6. So it can influence your rolls, and I just like that. The earth elementals are going to add 2 to your rolls and the enemy's rolls as well. So the different elementals that you're around can affect the rolls. But in addition to that, this is a dice-based combat system. So while there is luck involved, I like how the game provides a lot of mitigation for you. You are going to have this She's Intervention card, and basically if the enemy's card value is either a 10 to 12, you get to bump this die up. It starts at 0. Bump this die up to 1. If you, on your turn, were to roll a result of 2 to 5, a low result, you also get to bump this die up as well. Now, you can actually spend this die in combat to bump up your rolls a little bit. So it has a little bit of mitigation for you in that regards. But in addition to that, you also get what's called GAR tokens. Now, these have 2 sides, kind of an orangish red side as well as a blue side, and they both have slightly different effects. But let's say we rolled really low. Maybe we did roll a 5, right? Maybe we rolled a 1 and a 4. So that was our die results on our roll. First, we bump this up, and we can actually spend that to increase that, right? But also, maybe we want to spend this GAR token, and what the GAR token says is we can re-roll the die, so we're going to re-roll the 1, and we got a 4. But in addition to that, The blue side says, hey, you can reroll, but also add 2. So now we just went from having a 5 to an 8 plus 2. So we're at 10 now from 5. Also, we could spend this even to add 1 to it, and now we're at 11. And maybe that puts us in a bracket to deal 4 damage. Instead of if we did 5 and didn't alter that in any way, maybe we completely miss. So I really like the variables in tokens. And alternatively, if the enemy rolls too high and maybe they're going to deal 4 damage, alternatively, we could spend this guard token on the red, orangish side. And the same deal, we can have them re-roll their highest die. Maybe they went from a 6 down to a 3, but also, unlike the reverse side where we would add 2, this side we would subtract 2. So now they went from a 6 to a 3 on their roll, and also we subtract 2 from that. So you have those kinds of capabilities to alter the dice a little bit. But the enemy can also spend those guard tokens as well, and the cards will dictate kind of what they spend. But I like it. I like the back and forth. I like just having these cool items that you can spend during combat and just kind of like trying to manipulate your roll a little bit to get that higher roll. Or you got to alter the enemy's roll because maybe they're just rolling too out of hand. The enemies also do have effects that maybe they subtract from your roll every turn. And it can be, some of those can be really unique battles, like if you get the Dragonfly, which is subtracting 4 from your roll, but in addition being next to the Wind Elemental, which says to flip your highest die to the alternate side. Maybe you rolled a 6 and you now flip it to a 1, subtract 4 from the Dragonfly's effect, and now you went from a really good roll to a bad roll, but then maybe you spend a guard token to get back in. I like the kind of back and forth of it. I think it's a lot of fun. And it is unique enough because you have this huge stack of cards, right? You also have this many cards, silver cards that the enemy is going to do, and those are going to be different effects, as well as all of these gold cards as well. So the enemies are going to feel, at least what they're doing, slightly different each time, but the same enough that you can kind of expect what's happening, and you can kind of say, hey, I want to save my guard token maybe on my turn because I only need 2 more hits to defeat the enemy, and if I don't spend it on their attack, maybe I'm going to take 3 damage, but I'm still going to be at a healthy health value, right? A decent health value. So I'm going to save the guard token, spend it on my turn to absolutely kill them, and then get all this stuff back. And then maybe in the battle, one of the rewards was I get a guard token back, so I'm not as fearful of spending this valuable token as I once was. I just like the combat. I think it's really good back and forth. And again, there's a lot of combat in this game because to use a lot of these spaces, especially all the spaces where you buy new items, you have to, it's called liberating, you have to defeat the enemy to liberate that hex in order to actually use that space. So you have to do battle. And you want to do a lot of battle because that's going to get you a lot of coins. That's going to allow you to upgrade your character a lot more. So overall, I do really enjoy the combat system. All right, next up, let's talk character progression and upgrading. It's probably one of my favorite things about the game. I love this whole thing of you start out as this kind of weaker character, right? Low health, you got a basic weapon, but that basic weapon is going to help you out to defeat some of these monsters, to get gold, to basically buy more items and equipment. I love that idea. I just love the idea of getting more coins, going to this shop, and maybe I buy these boots here for 13 gold that are going to add to my health, so I get to bump that up. But in addition to that, I get 2 movement points on my turn. Really cool stuff. So I just slot that on my character, and now I feel like I got these super cool boots that I'm just running around the board with, right? Or maybe I buy a helmet from this shop, and it's just going to give me an additional health. It's not going to cost me a lot of coins, right? But anything helps, right? So I get more health throughout. I also love the idea of buying new skills. You're going to have to get to a certain amount of fame points, and every milestone you get to, you're going to be able to look at, like here we have 2 tiles that are at the 2nd level. So right when we get to the 2nd milestone, if we go to a shop, we can purchase one of these, or acquire it for free and slot one of those onto our board if we have the available space. The other one will go away. So you're going to have this tech tree of different choices that you can make. And then eventually, over time, you're going to get rid of your Staff of Fire. You're going to get more powerful weapons so you can defeat more powerful enemies. I love that concept. I mean, we can even go all the way up to level 35 skill for Maildor. Ball Lightning, if we roll a 7 to 13, we deal 7 damage, right? I love it. I honestly love it. You're also going to be able to get gems and essences throughout the game that you can potentially slot into your equipment that are also going to allow you to do super cool things. I said this in a few of the playthroughs. I get a feeling of Diablo, right? That stuff where you can buy the equipment, you can slot in those gems, and you can't remove those gems. So it's, when you sell it, the gem is going to go with it, but you're going to get a little bit extra gold because it has that gem in there. I love that. It's one of my favorite things, just looking at the shops and just saying, oh, we could get that armor. That's really going to allow us to do some cool stuff, right? That's going to bump up our health by 5, right? And then by the end of the scenario, you're just a completely different character than you were before, right? Maybe you have some rings that are going to allow you to do some cool stuff. You've got some really cool boots like we just acquired that are going to allow for some more movement. And movement's pretty big in this game. And you're going to have some, an upgraded weapon that's going to allow you to... I believe in the one playthrough, I was one-shotting the level 1 enemies. Just so fun to be able to do that. And at that point, I was like... Now we can face some level 2s, right? So you can feel the upgrading. You can feel the progression. And it's just so fun. Looking at some of these locations and being like, ooh, I'm going to get 5 coins from defeating that monster. And then once I get that 5 coins, I see some, I see some glaives over there that I'm going to really be able to take advantage of. And I'm just going to have enough. Maybe I'm going to have to sell my helmet. That's giving me 1 health, but the glaives are maybe going to give me 3. So it's a good trade-off, and they're going to do something else. I love it, man. It's just so fun, the upgrading in this game. It's fantastic, and it's one of my favorite things. All right, now let's talk replayability. Huge in this game. You got 6 characters in the core game, each with their own skill tree that you're going to be able to take. You're going to have to choose one of those levels of skills, and then the other goes to the box. You could potentially choose different tech trees each time. Between the number of items, this is the whole stack of items, and there are some already laid out on the board as well. So there are all these different types of items, each with its own stack. So you got all of those. You got the different number of quests that you can go on. This is just the level 1 quest. So on the boards here, you'll have, says level 1. So these are all quests for level 1. And these are broken down into, if we get the church with the priest, we're going to have to shuffle these and we can look at one of these quests and then maybe go on this. So with each type of quest, there's multiple different things that you're going to maybe have to do. So there's a lot of different quests. In each of the locations, maybe where you can mine or get treasure, there's a lot of different tokens for each of those as well. Between the different types of monsters that you're going to face with their deck showing their die rolls and which tokens they use, as well as the silver cards and gold cards as well, the monster battles are going to be different each time as well. Everything kind of comes together to provide a slightly different experience every single time you play. And I really enjoy that. I kind of set the game up and I'm like, what type of adventure am I going to go on now, right? What kind of items am I going to find? And it's just super cool. What tech tree am I going to go through with what character? Very cool stuff. Or the items. Maybe I'm going to get some cool items. Last time I didn't have a good helmet. Maybe this time I found a phenomenal helmet, right? So between all of that stuff, the cards, the tokens, the characters, the gems, the quests, you just know it's going to be a different game each time. And it's just a lot of fun to just unpack it and just be like, what is going to happen now? Very high replayability in this game. I absolutely love it. All right, so let's switch gears now to some critiques as well as just some things to maybe look out for. First up, we were just kind of going over the amount of stuff to increase the replayability. While that is the case, you have to keep in mind there is a lot a lot of stuff in this game. I do think this is the game I have which takes up the most table space. I did take a picture and you could probably see that now. This is me just setting up to show off different parts of the game. There is just so much stuff in here that it can really take up a lot of table space, like I was just mentioning, but also just set up and tear down time. This is probably one of the biggest games as far as laying it out on the table, as well as one of the longest games of setting the stuff up and putting it back in the box. The box for it is absolutely humongous. Just putting all this stuff back in here. Now, I also do have the organizers, right? I do have the organizers, which are sweet, by the way. If you are considering getting this game, I do highly encourage you get these organizers. I don't know how people do it without these, but these just organize all of your tokens here. As you can see, they're these cool castle looking pieces, and there's a bunch of these for the different tokens, whether they're the treasure tokens, maybe the mining spaces, stuff like that, or just some different tokens in general. So there's a lot of these, and these are the items that you can purchase throughout. But even with this tucked away, all packaged nicely, all the cards as well, just putting it back into this box, at first you're like, how am I going to put all this stuff in here? There is a great video from a channel, I'm forgetting the name of it. I will post a link to that channel below that basically goes over how to organize the game. But even with that, even with the organizers, even with the video on how to pack it up and, you know, store it and everything like that, it's getting faster to take it out, set it up and stuff like that. It still takes a long time because you have a lot of stuff. And if you're like me, I like to shuffle everything when I get it out as well. So we're talking about shuffling these. I tell you what, actually, here, let's take a look at this. To set up the game, depending on the scenario, you're gonna have to shuffle this, 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 more of this, more of this, this and more of this, 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 and this. Just look at all that stuff. It is honestly insane. And that's every game. That's every game. Now, some scenarios you might not need some of the cards and whatnot, but that's pretty much every game. You could, in some aspects, get rid of like shuffling these, for example. So maybe if you just draw from the bottom, right, and maybe this playthrough, you didn't go nearly as much. Maybe you just went, you know, you went a little bit down. You could just leave a decent amount, like if you didn't touch this much, you could just leave that, right, and then just draw from that the next game. So maybe you could shuffle once every 2 to 3 games. I could see that to reduce the time it takes. But for some of the other ones, you absolutely will need to every game, especially the monsters, all of these cards, kind of like we just went over. So overall, through shuffling everything, from taking it out of the box to when you're finished, to putting it back into the box, to creating this map tile stack, it can be a lot. It really can be. It can take a lot of time to set up. And that's just one thing to consider, that, you know, just look to spend a decent amount of time before you actually play. And when you're all finished, packing it back up. All right, real quick, let's talk monster variety. Now, while I mentioned each of the battles is going to feel a little bit different, I do think the monster variety could have been a little bit more. I do feel like in the games, you know, that I'm playing, I feel like I'm starting to play against the same monsters over and over again. So there are 3 different levels of monsters, 1, 2, and 3. And between these, like in this level 1 stack, there are 14 cards here, but there are only 7 different types of monsters. So each monster has 2 cards that can come up. I just feel like I said, I just feel like I'm starting to face the same monsters over and over again. And I feel like just another few extra different types, you know, like 4 to 5 would have really just spiced it up a lot more. And I don't know if the new expansion is going to add more monsters. I believe so. But just talking about the core box, again, maybe just a few more monsters per level would have went a long way. All right, and then one more thing is the scenario length. I mentioned earlier, the scenario is basically going to dictate how many turns you have for that scenario. But what I'm finding out is I feel like the scenarios are too short. I want more rounds with this game because I feel like with the more rounds, you're going to be able to do more stuff. I believe in some of the playthroughs that I did. I think my highest achievement of defeating a monster was like level 2. And I think my longest scenario that I played was the defending the settlements, and I believe it was up to round 14. And this track goes up to 20. Even in the starting scenario, I think it goes to 7. I just feel like 7 rounds, you really can't do anything because you just spend these 3 tokens, and boom, that's your turn. And if you're playing solo, that's the whole round. So you basically get 3 tokens per round to do your stuff. Now, because I kind of feel like by maybe turn 8, 9, 10, that's where it's really starting to get interesting. That's where you're really going to start getting these more coins, right? And you're going to start to get better items. That's where you're going to be able to unlock a lot more powerful skills. And again, that whole character progression is one of my favorite things about the game. So I kind of feel like stopping short is kind of, in a way reducing the thing that I really want to explore in this game. Now, one of the suggestions or the home rules that I was going to maybe implement, like if I get some buddies together and we play this game as a multiplayer game, or continuing going forward, I might just not even play a certain scenario and I might just go, we're playing to round 20, right? And we're going to try to get as much cool shit as we can, right? And defeat as many cool monsters as we can and just get as powerful as we can, right? Maybe I want to get more gems into stuff. Because again, I feel like with the scenarios I've played so far, and again, I'm not like I need more plays in order to get better, right? But still, I just feel like I'm just starting to dip my toes into the real cool stuff of it. And I like that cool stuff. I think that's some of the best stuff in the game. So I want to be able to get a set. I haven't even been able to get a set yet. That's one of my goals the next time I play is to actually acquire, 3 to 4 different types of equipment of the same set to then get a bonus, which is such a cool idea. I just haven't been able to do it yet because it's like through the sheer amount of items and the different things happening on the board and maybe your certain situation, you just might not have enough gold and maybe that item is out there. There's just a lot of things that are happening. And so I feel like I can't take advantage as much of these cool things that I want to do. And I do feel like with longer scenarios, you could actually do more of that stuff. And again, that's some of my favorite stuff. So again, I would like to see longer scenarios. I think this game works better with those longer scenarios. All right, so final thoughts. Why do I get out this game? What makes me want to play this? It's the journey, man. It's going on this adventure. I love it. I love starting as this kind of weaker character with these basic things. And I love just battling the monsters and getting more coins and then upgrading your character over time. I just think it's so fun. I like the combat, like I mentioned. I like being able to manipulate the dice rolls and everything like that and being next to elementals that will affect some of that stuff. So each combat is slightly different. I like the items that you can get. I love the idea of getting a set and slotting gems into that. Again, I go back to Diablo with that stuff. I get like that feeling of like me as a kid playing Diablo 2 on the computer, and it's just so cool, dude. Getting some of these items and just leveling up to basically get really powerful. I love that whole concept. I love just the sheer amount of items that you can get. I love mining for minerals. Maybe you got to get a mineral so that you can either sell it to get more coins or you need it for a quest. The quests are fun. They're just, for me, they've kind of been like a side thing that, I have done them occasionally and I think they've been fantastic. I do like some of the freebie stuff on the board, maybe just getting some free treasures that just give you a small little boost if you are struggling through from some of the monsters. I love just the rewards that you get. I think it's really cool to look at the board and just say, okay, look, we have 1 guard token, right? We probably can't face a level 2 monster quite yet. But let's go to this one, right? We're going to get 3 coins. We're going to get a guard token from that. So basically we're not as worried about spending ours and not having any more. And we're going to get a potion from that as well. I love that idea. It's just super cool to look around the board and just plan out your turns. And I love the open world of it. I love being able to go where I want to basically say, okay, here we have some level 2s and we have a water elemental, which is basically going to heal us if we move in the vicinity of this elemental. So we could potentially go fight this monster over here, return back to this location, gain the benefits of the water elemental, and then we can fight some level 2 monsters when we're a little bit more built up. I like it, man. I really do. The components for it, also, we didn't really talk about the components. Top-notch stuff. All the tiles in this game are nice cardboard tiles as well, and there's a lot of them. I do have some of the upgraded stuff. Like, these are all the upgraded dice from just these regular ones with pips. These dice, man, they are so sweet. I'm a sucker for upgraded components, and these are just fantastic. Not essential, but like if you just want to go a little bit extra of a mile to make your game pop even more, the artwork is already fantastic and the components are great. But if you want to make it pop even more, the dice are fantastic. You can also get metal coins, which is a huge upgrade. These things are sweet. My only gripe with these is the number 2s and 5s are the same color. I just wish these were different colors, but metal coins, how can you complain? If you wanted to upgrade from standees, and the standees are fantastic, the artwork is great, and as some of you may know, I have been becoming a fan of standees lately as well. Saves on price and all this other stuff. But if you wanted to take it up a notch, you can get minis. And these minis already come with a wash on them. So if you don't paint them, they're not just a boring gray only. They got this cool black wash on them that really makes the details pop. These are just fantastic. The detail is superb on them. I just love this little dwarf guy right here. Just so cool. And you can also get the elementals as minis as well, also including a wash. And these are great to just have on the board. You can, it just makes the board pop a little bit more if you want to get some of that stuff. And again, storage solution. If you are considering this game, seriously, think about getting these, the organizer. Not only do they look cool, but I'm telling you, the game, it does have that consideration of it's going to take a while to set up on the table. This is going to help with that. Each of the heroes, it comes with this little tray that you can slot, and these are pretty nice. It snaps on there pretty good. You have a bunch of other trays for the gems and essences like this. You just have a lot of trays as well. Each hero has its own tray like we were just kind of looking at. So if you are considering this game, seriously, think about the organizer. It is a lot to set up. You have to keep that in mind. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of cards. In the playthroughs, if you do watch those, a lot of the stuff I have off camera. So even the stuff that you see, that's not everything, right? You're going to also have to consider that the board is going to grow. So it might not look as much at first because it's only going to be one little lonely tile sitting on the board, but that is going to grow to a decent size, right? So you're going to just think about how long it's going to take to set up. Building that map again is going to take a few times before you really start to get it. And even when you do, it's still going to take a decent amount of time. And as well as I want to see more scenarios with longer rounds. I love this game with longer rounds. You can just explore more of the map. You can do more things. You can get more items. And again, my goal the next time I play is to actually get a set. I still got to get a set. But it's been hard because of the shorter rounds, right? Maybe some things might have worked out a little bit differently. Maybe I would have gotten more coins at a certain time, so then I could have bought a certain piece of equipment to actually get me that set. And then also the gems. I just want to be able to slot more gems to take advantage of that stuff because that stuff is so cool. I can't stop talking about that stuff because that's a huge reason for me with this game. The exploration and the character progression. I absolutely love it. But in order to take full advantage of it, you need more rounds. And again, I might just home roll that to be like, hey, let's just not even play a certain scenario. Let's just try to beat a high score. Let's do some cool shit throughout the game, right? Let's play to round 20 and let's just see what happens, right? We'll see what kind of score we get. We'll see how powerful we are and we'll defeat some cool monsters. But I love it, man. I overall really enjoy this game. I rate this a 9 out of 10. And honestly, I can see this going higher. Really love this game. I think it's fantastic. I am looking forward to getting more of it, even though there already still is a lot in this game. I think some of the things that they're talking about adding to the game are going to be super cool. I love it, man. This is kind of my Diablo 2, and I just think it's fantastic. It works for me, and I look forward to playing it every single time. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I will also put links to the Kickstarter, the new one, in the description. So if you are interested in seeing that, it is on Gamefound, so check that out. And if you have any thoughts about the game, if you have the game, let me know what you think about it. And so yeah, that is going to be Euthia, Torment of Resurrection. Again, I hope you guys have enjoyed. And until I see you guys next time, grab some brews, play some games. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.